This one was a big one. Manel Kape versus Matheus Nicolau. And listen, man, this one for a lot of people, this is on the robbery report. You know what I mean? A lot of people are screaming robbery, but I have to be honest with you, AJ. I got to be truly honest with you. When we were texting back and forth and it was in real time, I was like, dude, I think I got Nicolau winning this one, man. You know what I mean? And you went for Kape, right? And then I started looking on social media and I'm like, damn, everybody is going for Kape. Like, what am I not seeing? I actually picked Kape. I wanted him to win, but that's just not quite what I saw. So what did I do? I went back this morning and I watched over the fight again. I'm going to be honest with you, AJ. I think Nicolau won that fight. Now, convince me otherwise. Tell me why you think Kape won the fight. What was it that did it for you?
Well, that's it. I like that you pointed it out because both of us were going for the opposite picks we made, or at least in the judging, we were like, I think this guy won, even though I predicted, all that back and forth. But to me, Kape looked like he was gaining confidence, and if this fight would have been an actual like to the death fight, I think Kape would have outlasted him, and I think he would have outpaced him and just put the hurt on. And he was just kind of starting to go, which to his fault, he lost round one. He was very slow start, didn't really come out. And I think once he hurt Nicolau for the first time, that's when he really started to let the hands loose and get comfortable in the chaos. But I think at the end of the fight, he was just putting more volume, more pressure, and landing more of the shots. And in fact, there was a couple times where Nicolau was shooting that he was able to defend, sprawl out, that he wasn't able to defend in the first and second round. And then there was another one where I forget in the exact exchange happened. He either hit him with a retreating right or a check left, but put Nicolau down. Like his knee hit the ground and it just looked like a slip, but he caught him. He caught him good. And he was landing a lot more shots, a lot more fluid, and it was being more impressive. Like I said, he would have ended the round more impressive, especially if this was a 5-round fight or even, longer and going forward. That's what I saw anyway. How did you think Nicolau? That's what I'm surprised about. What were you seeing?
So when I'm watching it back, right, we can all agree round one that went to Nicolau because of the takedown, because of the control, all of that. Round two, Manel Kape, he came in, he actually let the hands go. So that was clearly Manel Kape. He outlanded him. Let me see, in round two, in terms of significant strikes, he outlanded him 28-21. But it seemed like it was a lot more than that at the time, right? Nonetheless, we move on to the third round, and that's where things got interesting to me because when I look at the official numbers, which I have in front of me right now, Manel Kape outlanded Nicolau 31-27, right? However, Nicolau threw 51 punches and Kape threw 71 punches. So Kape was missing a bunch, right? And the notes that I wrote down, because I actually wrote down notes for this because I watched it to score, right? I noted that in round three, right, for every 1-2 good little shot that Kape is landing, Nicolau is landing 4 or 5. You know what I'm saying? Like he's picking them apart. He's hitting them with clean 1-2s over and over and over again. Manel Kape kept getting hit and hit and hit. And the power as opposed to the pitter-patter, you know what I'm saying? I think that went to Nicolau, right? Nonetheless, the thing we also got to take into consideration is that ring or octagon control, right? That counts for a lot of people. For me, I'm like, dude, you're walking forward, but you're staring in the mirror. That was my big problem with Kape, is that he just kept staring at Nicolau, following him around. And the best thing about Nicolau, like I said in the preview show, he's a former amateur boxer. Dude's footwork was incredible and his movement was incredible. And I think that's what stopped Kape from getting going. He just tried to set too many traps and try to set it up too clean. So nonetheless, long story short, rant over, you know what I mean? I ended up giving the third round to Nicolau because he had too many moments where he was outshining Kape. And here's the last thing that we need to consider, and Big John said it himself. If you're a fighter and you leave it that close to the judges and you still have all that energy at the end of the fight, when Kape is sitting here hand raised, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, you're not even tired. It looks like you could still go another 3 rounds. When you don't leave it all out there, whether you won in the eyes of the fans or not, in terms of the popularity or not, you leave it that close to the judges, man. What you expect to happen? You know what I'm saying?
That goes hand in hand with exactly why I thought Kape won. He could have gone more rounds. He could have lasted longer. That's an excellent point that I never thought of, Derek. And Derek Lewis was talking about this in his fights. He's like, I love leaving it to that last 2 minutes. Then I'll just empty the tank, let it all out. And that's how he ended up with a miraculous Volkov knockout and a couple other late fight knockouts that he's had. But if Kape would have done that, then he would have solidified. Like we've said all the time, don't leave it to the judges. Like we just said before, you don't even want to leave it to the doctors. So I firmly agree with that, and I want to watch it again because I think Nicolau was hurting Kape and definitely putting the pressure on and definitely doing it. But I just thought I thought Kape was just outpacing him and just putting more on him. And I guess the numbers show he was throwing more but missing more. So yeah, it's an interesting thing because I do agree. If he would have just not left some in the tank, if he would have left it all out there on the field, he might have got it. He might have got a finish.
And that's the thing, man. He was in a tough spot already, and now this is the absolute worst case scenario for Manel Kape. This is like doomsday for Manel Kape because you come in as a former bantamweight champion out in Ryzen. Now Ryzen looks terrible too as an extension of Manel Kape. It's rough. It's rough all around. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, what we wanted was, I thought the UFC was trying to more or less, just kind of fast track Kape up to the rankings and whatnot. But now, dude, it's going to be tough to even stay in the promotion. Josh Thompson was a little rough, but he was all like, dude, there's no reason. You might get cut. Like you haven't really shown the UFC why they should keep you around. I disagree. I think that he's shown that the talent is all there. He's still just a little gun shy, man. If he would have came out in round two the way that or in the whole fight the way he came out in round two, where he was just coming ahead, throwing the hands out. He was throwing 4 punches, and he wasn't landing the first 2, but he was landing those last 2 punches and bunches, extended combinations. I talk about it all the time. Nonetheless, man, it's a learning lesson, man, and Manel Kape's going to have to figure something out for the next one because the pressure is going to be all on him. Just like earlier in the prelims, if you didn't watch, folks, Jin Yu Fry, she fought Gloria DePaula and spoiled her UFC debut, man. It was such a must-need win, and I'm so glad that she got that. But that's how it goes. But, let's talk about Manel Nicolau really quickly, man. This fast tracks him to almost up to the top 15, right? And if you go on Tapology and you look at the overall worldwide rankings, Manel Kape is about 17 or so, right? So I'm just saying this puts him a lot closer to that top 15 than he was before the fight. And, we'll talk about matchmaking in a second, man, but I do think that this was a big win. Whether it was counts or not, you know what I mean, in the eyes of the fans, in terms of the UFC logic and the MMA math, big win. Do you have any last thoughts on this one, or do you want to move on to the next one?
MMA math makes me laugh, Derek. That's it's an oxymoron in itself, my brother. But no, that's I'm good. I'm good.